There's something about the desert that feels timeless, where the wind whispers through the canyons and every stone seems to carry a story older than memory. Tucked away in the heart of Arizona's arid expanse lies Sacred Mountain, a place as mystical as its name suggests. It's not marked on the map, and few travelers make the journey. Sacred Mountain isn't a destination you stumble upon, it's one you seek out, drawn by stories, whispers, or maybe something inside you craving silence and space. Sacred Mountain rises like a beacon, watching over the desert with a quiet reverence that's impossible to ignore. Sacred Mountain was added to the National Register of Historic Places on March 4, 1975. The mountain is significant for the agricultural remains and pueblos that can be found on it. A study of the surrounding basin by the University of Arizona revealed evidence that farming techniques around the base were covered with dense rock alignments that included waffle gardens, check dams, and raised bed gardening. Some cultivated agaves were found on the mountain itself. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. It's a very special day. It's the summer solstice. Happy Sunday on a Friday. But it's June 20th and I'm going to some very special locations today that have to do with the sun. There's a mesa right here that I'm going to be visiting. There it is. And on top of it, there's three little village areas, sort of one community, but maybe more than one family. And it's been shown that there was a sun watcher position up there where somebody would watch the sunrise over the far, far hill and note its position on the solstices and the equinoxes. And I understand that somebody hiked over there at those positions, exact positions, and they found little shrines at each location. Nothing too elaborate, but just a couple little pillars that the sun would come up over the hill right through those, sort of like a gateway to this village or this little community up on the hill here. So this community also created probably one of the most amazing bits of petroglyphs in Arizona, not far from here. And I'm going to visit that later today. And as it's the solstice, there should be some events happening there. I think the sun will be piercing certain areas of the petroglyphs to show when it's time to harvest or plant or things like that. So I'm going to start off by heading up here and we're going to see what's up there. The mountain contains the remnants of a large pueblo with 50 to 60 rooms. The pueblo is broken up into 3 blocks of around 20 rooms each. It also has a Hohokam ball court, the last identified court to be constructed in the Verde Valley. The handball courts show a link with the cultures further south, possibly the Aztecs and/or Maya. The ball court is difficult to identify since today it looks more like a depression caused by erosion. A total of 1,410 meters of primary canals and 810 meters of secondary canals were traced. This abundance of agricultural features suggests a synagwa strategy of agricultural maximization linked with intensive cultivation. The Sinagua built amazing adobe structures that could house hundreds of people. They grew corn, beans, and squash and created beautiful works of pottery and woven cotton. By 1425 current era, the Sinagua were a thriving society at the peak of their power. Around this time, the Sinagua suddenly abandoned the Verde Valley, where they had been living for nearly 800 years. To this day, historians aren't sure why the Sinagua decided to leave this area. The real question is why they left an area so rich in resources when all the evidence suggests that they were quite successful. Some historians suspect that there may have been a long drought, while others say religious leaders foresaw the arrival of white men and left before the onslaught of colonialism. When the Sinagua left the area, they may have migrated north to join the Hopi tribes. Other accounts say some people stayed in the area and intermarried with the newly arrived Yavapai. Wherever they went and for whatever reason, they left. And by the time the Spanish expeditions arrived in 1583, the Sinagua were long gone. As we approach the top of this hill, I'm starting to see lots and lots of pieces of broken bits of pottery. Here's some right over here, somebody put in a little pile. I see a pattern on that side. That's pretty cool. Hard to see, but it's there. Beautiful. And everywhere I look, it seems like there's kind of small pieces just lingering everywhere. Pottery, 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 pottery. It's just everywhere. Small pieces, but really just over the whole ground everywhere I'm walking. Well, we've made it to the top, and it's quite windy up here. You can see it's fairly flat. There's a bit of pile of stuff over here, and maybe off in the distance over here. But this whole center area is quite flat. Could have been a nice courtyard area that was safe from the edges for children to hang out and play. Let's explore and see what we can find. Well, look at this. I'd say this is part of a metate. This is very, very smooth. Not this up here is rough. Sides are rough, but this is smooth. It's been used to grind grains, probably corn, maybe beans, or I don't know, whatever else. But that's a neat thing to come across here. As I approach the west side of the mesa top here, I'm starting to see room blocks. Not sure how much this is coming through on the camera, but we've got one here, another one over there, more here, another one here, and still lots of bits of pottery all over the place. Yeah, it looks like this whole area was built up at one point. You can almost see where it ends right over here on the ground and kind of curves around like that. And I'm seeing two more piles of stuff, sort of some rocks right over here and over here, almost like there were three communities or three small families making up one community on this mesa top. It's not a very tall mesa top, and it's not too far from the road. You can see right there where I parked. Didn't have to come very far to visit this place, but not something I'd heard about too much. I had to do quite a bit of digging to find out about it. The more I look on the internet and the more I do research, the more I realize there's a lot of amazing things to see that people just don't know about or don't talk about. And if you scratch the surface, it's amazing what shows up. Oh, look at that. Wow. That's beautiful. Chert. So we're coming up to this northeastern block of rooms. Looks like it's a little more substantial than the other one. You can see more of the wall still intact here. Pretty amazing. Although we're not especially high up, this is a pretty secure location. You can see over here it drops down pretty dramatically and is like this most of the way around. Artifacts, where they lay, tell a story. Once they are moved, a piece of the past is destroyed forever. Digging, removing artifacts, or piling them up changes what can be learned from these pieces of the past. Sacred Mountain has never been excavated and has abundance of pottery and artifacts all over the place. If you visit, please don't take anything home with you other than the memories and your pictures. This third room block on the southeast side of the mesa seems to be the most extensive. It's got a lot more square footage covering the ground. It's got some bigger looking rooms and kind of just stretches for along this whole side. looks like it goes right up to the edge there. Looking now on the eastern side of this hill, just over the edge, looking for a bit of maybe some pottery that hasn't been seen so much. Here's a couple of good sized pieces. Ooh, and look at the pattern on this one. Pattern on both of these. Oh, that's beautiful. Looks blank on the other side, but beautiful. Here's a few, look at that. I think it's the biggest piece I've seen yet today. I'm in the middle of this courtyard area. It was right in the middle of the mesa, and you can see one of the structures over there, or the room blocks over there, another over here, and another over in that area. And this nice big flat spot right here where they could have done all sorts of things. I guess kids could have played up here. It's almost like it's been leveled maybe by the hand of human. It looks a little too flat to just be natural. Maybe ceremonies were held up here. Maybe this was a place of gathering on certain special events. Looks like we found another metate here. See how that's smoothed out? That's someone's rubbed many things across here. Maybe this stone. Fascinating. Now, one of the really amazing things about this site is not far from here is a amazing rock art panel, probably one of the best in all of Arizona. And it's been shown that it tracks the equinox and solstices of the year, which were super important for planting and for just keeping track of things like that. And I was told that this hilltop up here was where the sun watchers would sit. And this mountain in the background, there's 3 separate spots, like 1, 2, 3, something like that, where the sun will come over that hill at the exact same spot on the summer solstice, the winter solstice, and the spring and fall equinoxes. And if you were to hike all the way up there, there's supposed to be a little shrine at each of those locations, consisting of sort of 2 rock pillars, not very high and not too much left at this modern time, but it's set up so that the sun will shoot right between those 2 pillars to this location and confirm the solstice event. Pretty fascinating. Well, thanks for joining me today. This is a really neat spot and kind of amazing considering the astrological implications. Later today, I'm going to be going to the petroglyph site where this is associated with, and I will get to think, you know, about the folks living up here, making the art way down there, and using the mountain way over here to line it all up with their calendar. Pretty fascinating stuff. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Glad you could make it once again, and I look forward to you joining me in the future. As we descend from Sacred Mountain and leave its quiet power behind, the journey doesn't truly end. What you carry with you, whether it's peace, perspective, or just the memory of silence, is the real gift of this place. In a world that moves fast and speaks loud, the desert reminds us to slow down, breathe deep, and pay attention. Thanks for coming along on this hike. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this journey if it spoke to you.